The hills echoed the sound of chaos. The wind carried the smell of smoke and blood, while the golden eagles, symbols of Rome's invincibility, lay lying on the ground, stained with dust and shame. Entire legions, once feared, rushed in despair, leaving behind broken shields and stifled screams. On the horizon, a figure rose. It was not a Roman general, but a woman. His armor reflected the light of the flames. His eyes burned more than the surrounding fire. At his side, warriors covered in ink and fury advanced, crushing the pride of the greatest empire on earth. She didn't just win, it humiliated Rome before the world. And the question that no one dared to ask echoed in the air. Who was this queen capable of making the most powerful army in history bleed like never before? If this scene has already made you feel the weight of this story, imagine what is yet to come. Support this work so that we can continue to bring epic and little-told stories like this one. Leave your like now. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. This way you ensure that you won't miss the next chapter of this saga that Rome tried to erase from history. Their interaction is what keeps the flame of these forgotten stories alive. Let's give voice to the past together. It was the height of the Roman Empire. The roads stretched for thousands of kilometers, linking distant provinces to the heart of Rome. His legions, trained and disciplined, were feared as unbeatable war machines. Every territory conquered was crushed by the force of golden eagles and the imposition of Roman law. But beneath the gleam of the marble and the pride of the Senate, there were invisible fissures. Conquered peoples bore the brunt of unjust tribute, forbidden traditions, and separated families. To Rome, these tensions were only distant murmurs, unable to threaten its supremacy. And above all, there was one certainty: never would a woman dare to challenge, let alone defeat, the strength of the legions. That certainty was about to be destroyed. Her land was vast, marked by fertile fields and dense forests, but also by the weight of Roman oppression. The gold and wheat that fed the empire were forcibly torn away, while its people lived in the shadow of famine. Roman tax collectors roamed the villages like predators, demanding more than the crops could offer. Sacred traditions were ridiculed, local leaders humiliated. Men were taken to serve in distant wars. Women and children were at the mercy of the brutality of the occupiers. Each day, the anger grew like a river about to overflow, and in the heart of this people there was a silent oath that submission would end. They just needed someone to light the flame. She was not born to be just a forgotten name in the chronicles. The daughter of tribal leaders, she grew up hearing stories of courage and resistance. From a young age, he showed an unusual intelligence and determination that intimidated even the most experienced warriors. He was not content to rule from within a throne. He walked among his people, knew their pains, and learned their combat skills. His presence inspired immediate respect. The upright posture, the steady gaze, and the voice that sounded like promise and challenge at the same time. To her enemies, she was unpredictable. For his allies, unshakable. And unknowingly, Rome was about to discover that this woman didn't just rule. She knew how to lead an army like few generals in history. Rome could have avoided everything, but he chose humiliation. After the death of the queen's husband, instead of respecting the alliance made with her people, the Romans confiscated her lands, flogged their leaders, and in a cruel show of power, assaulted and raped her daughters before her. What for Rome was just another act of intimidation, for her was the spark that ignited an ocean of fury. Pain has turned into purpose. He swore that every tear and every drop of blood would be charged with interest. It was no longer a question of resisting, it was a question of avenging, of restoring the honor snatched away by force. And at that moment, war was no longer a possibility. It became inevitable. Without the luxury of a Professional army, she rallied every man and woman willing to fight. Farmers left their hoes to wield spears. Blacksmiths turned tools into weapons. Hunters taught ambush strategies. She knew the enemy. Heavy legions, slow out of the open field, overconfident in their discipline. He used the terrain to his advantage, dense forests, treacherous swamps, and narrow roads where Roman formation would become useless. As Rome marched in shining armor and banners in the wind, she prepared invisible traps. He trained his warriors to attack and disappear like shadows. Each day that passed, the storm she was shaping got closer to exploding, and Rome did not yet know that it was marching towards its own ruin. The meeting took place on a road surrounded by dense forests. Rome believed they were marching to a quick victory, but each step led them deeper into the trap. When the signal was given, the silence of the forest exploded into war cries. Arrows rained down from all sides, spears rose out of the darkness, and the ground was dyed red. The Roman formations broke in seconds. Desperate soldiers tried to regroup, but were shot down before raising their shield. The queen advanced in the front line, cutting through the air with her sword as if each blow was a sentence. When the massacre was over, the Roman eagles were on the ground, and the pride of the empire was crushed. That day, Rome learned that even giants can bleed. The news traveled faster than any messenger. In the provinces, oppressed peoples whispered with hope. In the Senate, the silence weighed like a funeral. Generals tried to justify the defeat, blaming the terrain, luck, anything, minus the leadership of a woman. The families of the dead soldiers wept, but in the heart of the empire, the wound was one of pride. Rome, which saw itself as invincible, had been brutally humiliated. Many feared that this defeat would inspire new rebellions, and it did. For the Queen, it was not just a military victory. It was a psychological blow, a clear message. Rome could be defeated, and for a moment, the world believed it. The victory was grandiose, but it brought with it a heavy burden. Rome does not forget and does not forgive. Determined to restore their honor, they sent new legions, more numerous and merciless. The Queen faced bloody battles, but even in the face of overwhelming pressure, her name had already crossed borders. To her people, she was more than a leader. She was a symbol of resistance. Even when fate turned against her, her story remained alive in the songs and memories. Rome tried to erase his legacy, but each attempt only made him stronger. To this day, she is remembered as the woman who brought the world's most powerful empire to its knees. This Queen's story isn't just about war. It's about courage in the face of the impossible. It's about someone who, even without the best trained army or the resources of an empire, dared to take on Earth's most feared enemy. She proved that strength is not only in the number of soldiers, but in the determination of a heart willing to fight to the end. How many times in life are we underestimated? How many times we are told that we cannot win? This woman reminds us that greatness does not depend on the size of the challenge, but on the courage to face it. And just as it bled, each of us can bring down giants. Just believe that there is no defeat for those who refuse to give up. If this story has already moved you, imagine how many other hidden truths are still waiting to be revealed. We bring you these reports with dedication and research so that you can live this experience as if you were there. In return, we only ask for a simple gesture. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. In this way, you help us keep alive the mission of turning forgotten stories into inspiration for thousands of people. Your action today is the fuel that will make the next big reveal happen.